Happy Tuesday. Well, I'd imagine everybody's that's on the call today or the meeting has themselves a foam roller to use at home. This one that I have here is an 18-inch roller, so I would recommend for anybody who doesn't have one to order an 18-inch or possibly a 24-inch roller. The 12-inch rollers are just a little bit too short, especially when it comes to things like rolling your back. And the 36-inch rollers are just way too long because most of the stuff that we do involves doing one leg at a time. So it's just a little overkill, the 36-inch roller. So I recommend an 18 or 24-inch. So this happens to be a 36-inch roller that was actually cut in half. So you can make two rollers out of it if you did buy a long one. So yeah, let's get started. And then just a reminder, we'll do the stretch right after the foam rolling today, but you're gonna have to end the meeting and then hop on to the other meeting. So I'm gonna do that just before 12:15 so I can transfer over to the stretch. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start at the bottom and work our way up. So we'll start with the Achilles tendon and the calf muscle. And I'm gonna start on my right side. So what I wanna do is offset the roller so it's not gonna interfere with my left leg. And I'm gonna keep my left leg kind of bent at the side. And then use my hands to either pick my butt off the floor. If that causes a lot of discomfort, especially in the shoulders, you can still keep your butt on the ground, but just kind of use your hands to move yourself forward and back. What I want to do, starting with the Achilles, I want to keep my toe pointed forward, and I want to rotate left and right. We're going to hit all different angles of that Achilles. Okay, and then I'm also going to pull the toe back, which tightens up that Achilles. So you're going to kind of notice a little bit of a difference there as opposed to pointed or pulled back. Again, I'm rotating left to right, so I'm hitting all different angles of that Achilles. I'm going to transition a little bit farther up to the calf muscle. Again, I want to start with my toes pointed, rotating left to right, and then also pull the toes back, tightening up that muscle, getting a little bit different feel. Again, rotating left to right. Now I'm going to slowly transition up to the back of my knee. Same thing, I can relax the toe by pointing it forward. I can pull the toe back, which tightens everything up. Again, rotating left to right. And the reason why we go right behind the knee is because your hamstring actually attaches below the knee and above the waist. So it's a very long muscle, and it's important to get that connective tissue right behind the knee as it affects a lot of things calf related or hamstring related. Okay, so continuing to move up, I'm gonna break up this hamstring now into two parts. So I'm gonna focus on the bottom half, so from the knee to mid-thigh, and then I'll focus from mid-thigh to hip. So first part we're gonna do is from knee to mid-thigh. So just gonna focus on that lower part of the hamstring. Again, using that left leg should be bent, so you're pivoting off the left foot and using your hands behind your back to kind of move your body forward and back. Again, I'm rotating my leg, rotating left to right, hitting all different angles of that hamstring. You'll notice that I kind of keep readjusting the roller. Sometimes, depending on the clothing that we're wearing, the roller can kind of slide out from underneath you a little bit, so you got to kind of reposition yourself. Okay, I'm going to transition up to the upper part of the hamstring, so now mid-thigh to hip. Now this one in particular, I get a lot of soreness in the groin area and the inner thigh. So this one, I can really get some good effective soft tissue release, especially on the inner part of that upper hamstring. This is kind of one of the best ways to kind of hit that area. And this is going to probably feel awkward, a lot of these positions, but the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll be. A lot of this stuff might feel really tender and really sore, but again, the more you do it, the more your body will adjust and build a tolerance to it. Okay, so continuing to move up, I'm going to work the right glute. So what I want to do is, let me face you guys, might be a little easier to see this one. I'm going to sit on top of the roller, okay? I'm going to sit right on top of that right glute. I'm going to take my right foot, I'm going to cross over my left knee, okay? And my right hand is behind me on the ground, my left hand is right on the shin, or near the ankle. And I'm going to roll the upper corner of that glute muscle. So you might hear the term trigger point. So we want to find the trigger point in that glute. You can almost pinpoint it where it's most tender, it's most sensitive. You really want to focus on that spot in particular. Glutes get very tight from all day sitting in that flex position, so it's really important to really massage and release some of that soft tissue. Kind of think a good analogy is like if you were to take a lumpy piece of dough like from baking, and then you take a rolling pin to it and it elongates the dough and it smoothens it out. It's kind of the same idea what you're doing to your muscle. You can develop a lot of small microfiber knots in your muscle, so the foam roller can act kind of like that rolling pin and smoothen everything out and elongate it. So by elongating it, you don't feel as tight as well. So a lot of benefits to this. Okay, so I basically worked all the way from the ankle up to the glute. I'm going to repeat the same thing on the left side. Okay, so I'm gonna keep this same position. So maybe this kind of helps you with a different point of view. So we'll start with that Achilles. Okay, I'm gonna point my toe, and I'm gonna rotate left to right. And then I'm also going to pull that toe back, tightening up the muscle, rotating left to right. I'm going to go through this a little bit quicker, okay? Transitioning up to the calf, pointing the toe, rotating left to right. Pulling the toe back, tightening up that muscle. Transitioning to the back of the knee, working left to right. And I would say, a good rule of thumb is probably spending at least 15 seconds on each of these muscle groups as a minimum. You can obviously do much longer. But for today's purposes, maybe 15 seconds each. I'm going to transition up to the lower part of the hamstring. Again, we're working from the knee to the mid-thigh. And the reason why I don't try to do it all in one shot is because it's less adjustments that I need to make as far as my body position and how awkward it might be with my hands behind my back. Don't forget to work inside and out. You can pull the toe, point the toe, kind of feel the difference there. Okay, I'm going to transition up to the upper thigh now. So we're going mid-thigh to hip. So I'm sitting a little bit more on top of the roller. For me specifically, I have a lot of issues in the inner thigh groin area. So this one is really good for me, especially if I kind of turn my body outward and I can really get that upper inner thigh area. This one happens to be particularly sore for me. Okay, so we're going to transition up to the glute. So I'm going to sit on top of the roller. This time I'm leaning to my left, okay? I'm taking my left foot, I'm crossing over my right knee. My right hand is on my ankle. My left hand is behind me on the ground. And I'm going to work that upper corner of the glute. Okay, try to find the trigger point. Try to find that most tender area. Okay, you can work other areas of the glute too. You can sit a little bit more on top of it. You can get a little bit farther down. Okay, it doesn't always have to be the upper corner, but typically that's the spot that's going to give you the most release. That's going to give you the most tenderness. Good. Okay, so now we've literally addressed the lower extremities all the way from the ankle to the hip, and next we're going to actually go up onto the back. Okay, so I'm going to switch my position so you guys can see a little bit easier. I want to sit on top of the roller. The first one that I'm going to do is the lower back. So what I want to do is I want that roller to stay just above the waistline on the back. I also want my shoulders to be about knee height. I don't want to lean all the way back. Okay, so what I'm going to do for that is I'm actually going to have my hands out in front of my knees to help keep that posture. Okay, so I'm going to roll back a little bit. That roller's just above the waistline. I'm going to keep my hands on my knees so my shoulders and knees are about the same height. And I'm just going to rock back and forth. I'm only moving a couple inches at a time. I'm not going any farther up than that low back, just above the waistline. So these muscles that we're hitting are your erector spinae. And everything is connected. So we have a tight calf, it could cause a tight hamstring. Tight hamstring could cause a tight back. The whole posterior chain is all related. So you can notice how where I started to where I am now, I've kind of slowly moved back. So like I said, your fabric can kind of slip a little bit on the roller. So sometimes you need to reposition. Okay, so now we're going to transition into the mid-back. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to lean a little bit farther back. This time my hands can come off the knees. I'm working from the low back up to that middle back. Your scapula is kind of like the farthest part that you want to roll to. We're gonna go north of that here in a little bit. So all the way up to the shoulder blades is where you want to hit that middle back. You also notice that my hands aren't laying down because I want to kind of get those shoulder blades out of the way. Okay, you'll notice that I'm kind of slowly scooting back, so I'm going to reposition. This shirt is a dry fit, so it's real slick on the roller. Okay, the last one we'll do is the upper back. So now I want to bridge my hips up all the way. Okay, so I'm kind of straight from knee to shoulder. I'm going to either give myself a big hug or I'm going to keep those hands up. Because I want those shoulder blades out of the way. I want to roll all the way up onto my neck. So I'm looking straight up this time. I'm not looking forward. Hips are up. Looking straight up. Hands are up. Keep those shoulder blades separated. Don't be afraid to roll all the way onto the neck. And relax. Okay, I'm kind of running short on time, so I'm going to go through the next few fairly quickly, and I'll try to space things out a little bit better next time. So we're going to start on the front side now. We're going to start with the right shin. What I want to do is I want to point my right toe to my left because I want to stay on the outside of the shin bone. Okay, this is your tibialis anterior. You want to stay on that muscle. You don't want to roll on the bone. So I'm pointing my right toe to my left side. I can literally take as much weight as I want off the roller by my hands and my left foot. Okay, if you wanted to put more pressure on the roller, you could actually stack that left leg behind. Okay, we're going to switch sides really quick. Left toe pointed. to my right. Okay, I'm going to move on to the quad and hip flexor. Okay, so I'm going to break this up into two parts, from the knee to the mid-thigh, and then from the mid-thigh to the hip, just like we did with the hamstring. So the roller is going to be just above my knee. Okay, my left leg is going to be bent at my side, and I'm just going to let myself roll back a little bit, hitting that quad area. In order to hit the outside of the quad area, I'm actually going to turn and pivot so that actually my knee comes off the ground and I'm pivoting off the toe this time. To hit the hip flexor, I'm just going to roll farther back. Make sure that left knee is really bent up at your side. And if I were to have to say one area that bothers me the most, I did mention that inner thigh. My hip flexor also gives me a lot of trouble. So this is one of the best foam rolling areas that I benefit from. Okay, we're going to switch sides really quick. Hitting that left quad. Let me see if I can get you a different angle here. Staying, let me try this side. Staying just above the knee. Working only half. Pick that toe off the ground if you want to get the outside a little bit. And then we'll transition into that hip flexor. Show you what it looks like from this side. Really want that right knee bent at your side. And don't be afraid to get that roller up nice and high towards that hip. Okay, last one I'll show you really quick is the IT band. So what you want to do is start at the upper part of your hip. If we're going to do the right side, we're going to cross the left leg over the right. Okay, both hands on the ground and the left foot can relieve as much body weight as needed. I'm going to start with the hip to mid-thigh. We're going to break it up into two parts. And then I can transition to the lower part, so mid-thigh to knee. Okay, one area that you can, or a technique that you can use to apply more pressure is to stack the legs. And this can be a little bit easier to achieve the full length of the IT band as opposed to breaking it up into two parts. Okay, and we would do the same thing on the left side. Okay, but for today, I'm going to skip out on that just because we're running behind and I want to get moving forward with the stretching. So please hit me up if you have any questions, and we'll address this again next week. All right, thanks guys.